the next edition of the YouTubers bunch. And there's 9 of us here tonight. So it makes a good 3x3 for the Brady Bunch photo.
We'll have to go like this.
How cool is that? Yeah. So, hey guys, welcome to Ham Radio 2.0. My name's Jason. I'm KC5HWB. I'm with 8 other dillweeds tonight that have probably had too much to drink by the time we hit record on this, just like I have. So we're going to talk about lessons learned along the way as far as ham radio, YouTube, how they relate together, and everything else coming up tonight on the channel. So get ready.
Shut up and sit down.
Okay.
Beautiful.
So you can see, I want to say good evening tonight to Rob, N1NUG, Kyle, AA0Z, Callum, tell me your call sign again, dude.
M0MCX.
It's not a real call sign.
0.
Mike Charlie
Sounds
X-ray.
foreign.
M0MCX.
Roger.
Okay. Mike 0, Mike Charlie X-ray. So, okay, cool. Good deal. K6UDA Bob, who's got a microphone problem.
Don't tell him that. Don't tell him that.
Mike K8MRD, Kevin
Hi, Mom.
W6IRP, RIP, rest in peace. Josh KI6NAZ and Smokin' Ape. Ape, do you want to tell us your call sign or not?
Well, I don't think I'm going to.
Okay.
The reason is that I just think that the women in the audience would be contacting me.
Well played.
I think
Well played, sir. Well played.
I think. Hey, Ape. Since it's on your second time here, I think Bob already has all the women, so you shouldn't have to worry about that. You're good. So
I can totally relate, dude.
All right, tonight we're going to talk about. This is going to be free for all. This is going to be fun. We're going to talk about lessons learned along the way for how you got started in ham radio, what you've learned, technician, general, extra, and how you and what you've learned about YouTube. Because all of us on this channel, if you watched our last episode, all of us on this channel got started in YouTube because of ham radio. We didn't get started in ham radio because of YouTube. We got started in YouTube because of ham radio. That's my story. And everybody on here is the same way. So we're going to talk about that tonight. So I'm just going to open it up to everybody. Everybody that wants to talk, we can just talk. Y'all can just ad-lib. And like I said, all of these episodes we put up to date have gotten really good positive feedback. I get emails, direct emails from people because my email address is on QRZ. And I get emails from people and they'll say, hey, YouTubers bunch thing that you did, keep going with it. Those are great. I love these. Keep doing it. Do more of them. So I get that quite a bit. So all of you guys are doing a great job. Really like Sterling and David and Johnny and the guys who couldn't join us tonight. Love to have you guys back. But we've got some new folks tonight as well. So who wants to kick us off?
I'll kick off, Jason.
Go ahead. You've got the coolest accent in the group.
But you see, I've got 8 guys with really cool accents here.
Yeah.
Depends on what country you're from, I guess, where the accents, right?
I'm
Yeah,
just
and
gonna
it's
say-
actually already tomorrow there.
Yeah,
Right.
indeed.
So I need the lottery numbers from you, Callum. I need you to send me
Into
lottery.
the future.
I'll look you up on QRZ.
Yeah.
I'd just like to say, and I'll put it open to you guys, that doesn't matter how many books you read until you build a blooming fan dipole or whatever it is, nothing makes sense. Nothing makes sense. It's only till you put it up and it works. Now you've learned it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I generally view you got to learn by failing.
Yeah.
And you want to
Oh,
fail
yeah.
the best way possible.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you're going to make mistakes. You're going to do it, right? And all of our licenses, whatever country you're from, they're mentioning a lot about safety. So as long as you're failing safely, you're learning, right? And that is paramount, I think, to amateur radio. And I think sometimes that runs counterintuitive to the narrative that a lot of people speak. They make you think that you shouldn't necessarily experiment, but you absolutely should be. If you're not experimenting, you're not going to learn it.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Well, you got to get on the air.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
And even if it's a compromise,
On tax.
You got to get
and
on
my
the air.
biggest lesson, my earliest and biggest lesson was don't use 100 feet of RG58.
I got one. The value of a balun. And
yeah.
the first dipole you've ever built probably doesn't have a balun on it, and you might have it a little close to the shack, and you start transmitting, and then lights start flickering, oven lights start going off and on, and you're like, I wonder what this is all about. And so a balun, big recommendation. That I learned that one personally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mine
we had to
actually
reboot
did have a balun.
we had to reboot the refrigerator every time we got on 40 meters.
Yeah. And then going down the balun rabbit hole, the 9-to-1 versus the 48-to-1 balun. And I started out, I was like, I'm going to get this little radio. It didn't have a tuner. And I was like, I'll just run this 9-to-1 random wire and get up on the air. And I was like, wait, why is this thing not working? It's complaining constantly. It's throwing me this message. I don't know what it means. And quickly found out, like, oh yeah, I need a tuner to make this work. Had I gone with like an end-fed half wave, I would have been better off than when I was just running this 9-to-1 random wire kind of thing. And you gotta look into that, right?
Gotta look into that. So the beer I'm drinking tonight is called Now I Have a Machine Gun. Ho ho ho.
Ho ho ho.
Greatest Christmas movie ever.
Die Hard reference.
Yeah,
there.
Die Hard. That's a Die Hard reference. So there's a brewery in Bedford called Turning Point Beer. If any of you guys ever come to Mid-Cities, Texas, I will take you to Turning Point Beer. They are fantastic. So there you go. There's your.
I don't think Cal could get that beer in England.
Yeah, send a crate over, Bob.
Yeah,
Probably
send it over.
Probably. Yeah, I'll ship it. I'll ship you some.
Dogs will sniff it out in customs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, one of you guys, it might have been Rob, I can't remember, said on another program. I'll tell you what, it was there's Bob, it was with a K6UDA. He said that you took a couple of years off from your drag racing, and I think another guy said that he had 6 months on and 6 months off. I tell you what I've learned is I've got a contract with myself to at least try and have one QSO a day, whether that be on VHF, UHF, HF, FT8, voice, CW, whatever.
Cell phone.
It's to drive the value of my equipment down per QSO.
Oh, I like that. That's what I'll tell my wife. That's how we'll sell it. I like that. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
I like that.
And it's okay to have a break. All right. I think sometimes I felt terribly guilty because I haven't been on YouTube, so I haven't had the pressure to keep making the videos, and I've just had a break. And the longer the gear is off, the longer it is off, and it's off, and it's off, and it's off, and you think, and you switch it back
That's
on
right.
again, you can't even remember how it bloody works.
That's right.
True that.
Yeah, some of those
Switching on.
depending on those companies that you go with, definitely have some deep menu holes that you have to fall in. So there was something when I was starting out. I kind of, just on my personal level, I don't really follow the herd. I kind of make my own way, and I learned after looking years back. Sometimes when you're starting out with radio, it's a good idea to follow the herd. Go with the radios that people that are in your club are using, or people that are using, because they already know how to make them work. They've already worked out some of the problems that you'll inevitably fall into. And so sometimes when you're starting out, going with a radio that's relatively mainstream can be worthwhile because you're going to get out of those holes faster. You're going to get back on the air and you're going to be operating again. And, I was always using these quirky, weird, radios that I found online, and bad menus or bad manuals, bad all kinds of stuff. And sometimes it's better if you go with something a little bit more mainstream, I think. I don't know if you guys, what do you think?
Yeah,
I think that's
agree
true.
100%.
But what I always caution people about is that it's tough because like everybody portrays themselves as an expert, right? And when you don't know better, you get tons and tons of terrible advice. So I think that's just something that you need to watch out for, and then double check and do the homework yourself.
Yeah.
Read the comments.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like the
Yeah,
internet.
there.
There's only good information on the internet.
Right. So when you go to
if you do your
EHAM,
homework.
so when you go to EHAM, scroll past just the score and read the comments.
Yeah.
Is what you're saying, right? Is that yeah?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, what-
and
And
that's a
on
good
YouTube
point.
videos and everything else.
What
To
gets
kind
me
of
about
kind of
these-
dovetail that a little bit. One thing that I've learned too is you've got to listen to the guys
Yes.
on the air. Don't
Yes.
just go by the internet. Listen to what your local guys are saying on the repeater, or get on
Yeah.
HF and listen. You'll learn a ton. Even if you just have it on in the background when you're doing other things. You know, that's the thing that I learned is just listen and let it soak in.
So, just, one thing when I was starting out, when I said I made my first HF antenna, I got on our local net on the Keller Peak repeater. It's called the Red Eye Net, and you get on there and you talk about things and tell them what you're doing. And I mean, immediately before I even made my antenna, one of the guys chimed in and we talked after the net about balance. And he sent me a whole read up on balance and how important they were. And you learn there's no shortage of information out there or anything that anybody's going to share. Everybody will share everything and help you on your way. That was one of the coolest things for me is just get on the nets, listen, speak up, let them know what you're doing. People will chime in and help you out. And then another thing, when I first got on HF, I would practice by getting on the 3905 Century Club net at night.
Oh yeah.
At 40 meters. And then you
I've listened to
immediately
that.
know if you're working or not. Is it working? Or is you know where you're getting, you start putting the pieces together. And I get on that every night and make some QSOs. And from there, I knew I could go on a mountaintop and make it work. So
Totally. Good. So who's I know Mike's big into POTA, and a couple of you guys are doing SOTA Expedition, which the SOTA website's actually in the UK. It's co.uk. So
That's where it's from. Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
So Callum's all about SOTA, I assume. But who's doing?
Wait, I don't. Callum, have you done a SOTA activation?
No, I've done a POTA.
Okay.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
So,
Yeah, that's a new thing over there for you guys
Yeah.
within the last.
Do they have
6
sofas
months or
on
so, I
the
think.
air?
We have what?
Sofas on the air.
So
That's called every day, Bob.
Yeah.
I live streamed my first Parks activation.
Yes.
And
Nice.
I keyed a microphone from my car, my vehicle, and with this 1.5 meter whip on 40 meters, thinking it probably wouldn't do very well. And but I timed it intentionally. It was just getting dark, so I thought might be getting some DX somewhere. But I misheard the call sign, and I asked the guy from New Zealand just to stand by because I was busy
wow.
with the guy up the road. And for us, New Zealand's a big deal, right?
Yeah.
It is the other side of the world.
Yeah.
It's quite
Oh
big.
yeah. Yeah.
And he was about 5'7". Apparently, I was about 5 and 7. And that kicked off my Parks on the Air activation, sitting right by the sea in a place called South Devon, and it was really cool.
Oh wow,
Cool.
that's awesome.
But I am not going to take a battery, an aerial, a rig, and walk up a mountain. I'm sorry. You can give it to me, or I can go in, Josh's truck or something. But I'm not going to walk it.
The
Cal,
trick is you
I'll
just
tell
get it
you what.
really light.
Yeah.
Totally overrated. Walking up a mountain.
Yeah, Bob.
No, it is
Totally
not.
overrated.
No,
Come
it
on,
is
let's
not.
go.
Killed yourself going up there, Bob.
Bob
Hey.
almost died.
Hey, Sterling and Kyle and I were all at the Mount Pacifico in California, and none of us live there. And Bob, I didn't see you there, and you live in California. So I'm like, yeah, lazy.
My daughter was getting married.
Oh, that's right.
That's
Okay,
not
that's a
an
good
excuse.
excuse. That's a good excuse. Okay,
That's
I'm
fair.
good with you.
That only
Yeah,
happens
You
once.
could remote
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, you
tell
can
you what.
you can remote in.
A lot of you have mentioned this SOTA business or a POTA business, but only twice last year I managed to get out with all the toys onto the hill, 1,400 feet up, for a couple of nights away with a couple of other like-minded people. And it is, I can't remember, it might have been you, Josh, who said in the last program that, the RF noise level is super low. You can hear everything. You can hear a pin drop. And it's like what it must have been like 50 years ago.
Yeah, before all the switching
Tremendous.
power supplies.
Yeah.
Before electricity.
Is that when you went with Carl and the other guy in that
Paul.
camper thing?
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
And I did another one with Tom and a fella called Tim. We took more toys and the big generator. That was more of a sort of a heavy field day.
Yeah. Yeah, that
I want to do more of that
freaking
this year.
ginormous.
Getting out portable is really it's where my bit of the hobby's going anyway.
Well,
Yeah.
you kind of
Yeah.
make an antenna
agree.
for it, though, to a degree. You know, I don't know how easy your antenna is to set up portable with all the bands, but you know, if you take your DX Commander Lite mast and you know, I mean, even 2 bands, 40 and 20 or whatever, that would probably.
It's
be
about a
pretty
15
set
to
up.
20 minute throw up.
Okay, I mean, I use a similar thing when I do POTA. I've got a big 43-foot mast, and I use either like a link dipole or a vertical 9-to-1 end fed, and they go up pretty quick. I've got a pretty easy way to guy it up and get on the air. It probably takes me 10-15 minutes to set up everything.
So
But
Callum,
all
the
these
more-
things, sorry,
The
Jason,
more
with
you
all
get
these
out
things,
there and do it,
you got to
easier it is.
practice. You got to do it 3 or 4 times. Get used to your kit.
Yep.
And then do it. If you're not
Yes.
used to it, if you just go out and expect it all to work first time, you something, you know, you got to learn from your mistakes, then get good
yeah.
at it.
Yeah.
And hopefully you're not on a mountaintop when you do that.
Yeah.
Indeed.
The
Or
most
you've got a
heartbreaking
King lead.
the most heartbreaking thing, one of the things that I learned probably about a year or so ago, connectors and coax.
Yes.
Always
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Always have adapters. So, all right,
Uh-huh.
if one, so remember videos by Mike. He always used to say, "If one is good, 2 is better." So whenever I go, I have a place down the street for me where I can go and buy coax and connectors and stuff like that. And I told him, Scott, anytime I'm ever in here from now on, if I'm buy 1, make me buy 2.
Right.
I am kidding you not. I have a
Right.
bag. I have bags and drawers full of connectors because you can't have enough. What if you
No.
get out there and you're like, oh crap, I need this
Adapters.
SO239 to BNC.
Yes.
Sorry about
Yeah.
your bad luck, guy. You don't have it. So
Yeah.
you know, and it is like you said, Cal, practice, repetition, and getting out there and doing that. And in my first times out there was many times that I went out to make a video and that video didn't happen because I didn't. And it's not that I couldn't make it work, but it's like my heart sank because I wanted something to happen. I wanted to present something in a really positive, happy way, like I could try to do, and it just tanks, and you're like, oh, your heart just sinks.
So let me ask this since we got Callum on the air for one of the first times, not the first time. Tell us about your DX Commander antenna because I'll tell you how I heard about it. Okay, I'd seen a couple of your videos. And, you know, I kind of watch videos here and there, and sometimes stuff goes in one ear and out the other. But I was on the SOTA expedition with Josh in Mount Pacifico in October, I think it was. And no, November of this year.
Yep.
And Matt, AE4MQ from Florida, who's actually putting together an expedition for the Tortuga Islands this July. If anybody wants to know about that, shoot me an email. So Matt's putting together it's not a D expedition, but it's a HF expedition for the Tortuga Islands, just south of Florida, outside of Key West. That guy, he was with Josh and I and Kyle and Sterling and a few other guys, Kevin, on the Mount Pacifico, and Matt was talking. He's like, DX Commander, you got to get DX Commander. You got to get it. I'm like, okay, cool. So I went back, and that's when I ordered one from you, Callum. So tell us what the DX Commander vertical antenna is. Tell us what it is, how it works, what bands it covers, and all that kind of good stuff. Give us your elevator speech on it.
Elevator.
Or lift.
I'll give you the elevator
Lift.
speech, but I think
Lift speech.
the best. Elevator is fine, but I want to do the beginning bit where we're waiting for the elevator. Okay,
Right.
But the engineer's been called out. All it is I built a 40-meter vertical with a fiberglass pole. You know, and I'm sure a lot of us have done it. You put 10 meters or whatever that is in old money, you guys, and a few radials out, and it just worked. And it was just an accident that I thought, what would happen if I put a 20-meter up the other side of the pole? And so that was the thinking. Now, I have found a 30s patent of someone who's come up with similar things, and other people in the 80s I've found, people send me links. Oh, look, you weren't the first one. I probably wasn't. That's fine. But all it is, it's a fan dipole, effectively, turned vertically. Mm-hmm. So we've got 6 elements that go up. I mean, to start with, it was just 40 meters, 30, 20, and all the way up. It just so happens it tunes on 6. And it's not a bad pattern, even though it's on 40 meters, so it's about 1 3/4 wavelengths. But there is actually a bit of gain right at the bottom.
So does it cover 6 to 40, everything from 6 to 40?
Yes. And then what happened is that I discovered that you could take off the 30-meter element and run an inverted L on 80. So now, what we've got is the only thing is that 80 doesn't quite resonate on the 10, not 10 meter, 10 megahertz. 10, yeah.
That's 10 megahertz, that's 30 meters. Yeah.
It's all back to front, isn't it?
Yep.
And if you're an FT8 man, you might want very, very specifically to resonate there. But the idea was I wanted to be able to go on holiday and go high power with a big amplifier because I take a 990 and an Acom 2000.
Oh, yes.
Holiday. And I want the whole 9 yards. I've taken monitors and I build a shack. And I do 12-hour sessions, 14 days. I sort of do DXCC in a week. And,
that's a YouTube channel. DXCC in a week. That's the name of a YouTube channel right there.
It is, isn't it? And I just didn't want to take a tuner and start tuning coax because I don't like doing that.
Yeah.
And then I made some prototypes, and then I sold all the prototypes, and then gradually I got them laser cut and water jetting, and it became, and in fact, as of last week, it's my full-time job. So
nice.
Oh, hey, that's awesome.
Awesome. That is great, dude.
That's cool.
And that's everybody's dream to a certain degree. Yeah,
absolutely.
That's awesome.
So
that's very entrepreneurial of your.
Yeah.
Are you hiring?
100% funded by the subscribers who buy the product. I mean, I am in a very dangerous position.
Yeah.
So Cal,
exciting
since you're
is
here,
that though? That's awesome.
Let me ask you this: since you're here, do you need radials? Do you need to run it with radials? Because you just mentioned dipole, and so fan dipole. But then I've heard other people mention you need radials, and I was never clear on that.
Yeah. It needs radials, and so I've done a lot of testing, and I've read. There's a really interesting guy on the planet called, and I don't know if he's still alive, Rudy Sevens, and I can't remember his call sign, but he. Beyond 16 radials, the reality is the efficiency gains become stupid. If you were spending £100,000 on a broadcast license, you might want to go to 120, but we're not.
Right.
That 1 dB difference between 16 and 64 is negligible. But he also said if you cut them in half, but double them up, so go 32 radials at half.
Oh, okay.
And then you connect them all into a fork connector. You've just got 5 bunches of wires. I just throw them out. I don't start laying them or anything. I think I'm not allowed to swear on this channel. I don't give a stuff.
Do you make it rain?
Yeah. And then I pee on the connectors.
That's how you just embed them in the dirt. Is you got to moisten it first.
Right.
You just go around, marking your territory.
Most people, weirdly enough, actually use these at home permanently because it's
a lot of people on the Ham Radio Crash Course have mentioned DX Commander multiple times, and so I just don't have a big enough lot. I put everything on the roof, and so that's where my problem is. I'd love to get one, but I don't know where I'd put the radials on the roof.
The minimum requirement is, I reckon, is like any vertical, is probably a 180-degree radial arc. If you can do 360, that's fine, but 180 would do. And get about 2 wavelengths at your lowest frequency out there. So if it would be the 40-meter band, find about 80 meters of wire, 250 feet, cut them up and just lay them out.
Okay.
I'm going to take that down to the beach in Galveston. I'm going to,
that would work.
I've got a house in Galveston. That's the Gulf of Mexico here, beach, first row houses, second row houses. My house is right here.
Nice.
It's a rental house. I'll just walk down. It takes me 2 minutes to walk down to the beach, and I'm going to put a vertical and stick the radios in the ocean.
Yeah.
It'd be great.
And you just throw a big bundle of wire into the ocean and you'll be.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've heard that. I've never tried it, but I've heard that before. So, yeah, I think you're right.
A lot of people use these permanently at home, and which is not what I designed it for, but it just works. And there's a price point, obviously, that people just love. And there's not quite enough profit in it for the big manufacturers to get into it.
That's why you're safe.
Right. Right.
Under the radar.
Well, good. Hey, Callum, I got your, I ordered, because of Matt, AE4MQ,
Yeah.
I came back from Josh's Mount Pacifico expedition, and I came home and I'm like, oh, this is a cool antenna. So that's when I ordered it from you. I emailed you and you replied to me pretty much immediately.
Yeah.
And I've got it in my garage right now, and I looked through the instructions and I'm like, okay, good. I want to make sure that I get this set up at the right location. So I think I'm going to wait until I can take it down to the coast in Galveston.
Yeah.
Brilliant. But I might take it out for a SOTA expedition. I haven't decided yet. But I've got it there and I read through it, and it looks like a great antenna, and I've got really good feedback on it. So
it just works. I mean, I'm not a genius. It's just the laws of physics.
Right.
And the other thing is, Tom Rowlands, he's on my channel a lot. I think he visits you guys. He's a military surgeon in the UK. But he calls it visual physics because you see all the different lengths of the elements. And you can see exactly. It's great for a learner because you see how these things work. And the trouble is with like the Hustler CH, I don't know, whatever. There's a lot of aerials that I've looked at. I just don't know how they work. It's hidden in aluminium casing and stuff.
And you could poke your eye out with it. That thing is dangerous.
Yep.
Yeah, I like the idea of just being wires. You know, you can cut it to a length. You know, keep it simple. You know, why do you need traps? I love that idea, Callum, of the vertical fan dipole. I think it's brilliant.
Yes.
So I would go so far as to say that you
wondering, Cal. I'm wondering about the noise level. I know verticals are typically more noisy than a standard dipole, a horizontal dipole, and loading that up that much, is it noisy? Is it? I don't know.
Well, of course, I would recommend everybody did a test anyway in their local environment by just getting a quarter wave cut, bit of old wire, which we've all got knocking around in our drawers, hanging up on a tree. You know, and just making a vertical for say 20 meters, because 20 meters is the big money band. There's a lot of shit going on. I mean, sorry, a lot of stuff going on. Jason.
SOTA favorite.
20 meters all the time.
Yeah,
and
where all the good-looking girls hang out.
On 20 meters.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm gradually coming to the impression that in the modern world, it's getting to the point I really want to look and build one of these loops on the ground for my receive, because all my radios have got a receive jack or a secondary, you know, PL2 SO239, and I really like the idea of having a receive loop on the ground, because my neighbor behind me here has got like 30 grand's worth of solar just put in, and I've noticed that he I dialed down to 27.5 because some of the local guys wanted to go on CB one night. And I thought, oh, that's a bit noisy. But if you think about it, all the Walmart, the wall warts, whatever you want to call them, all the crap that is being generated in the modern world it's like any aerial. It finds it easy to go up. It finds it very difficult to go along the ground. So your vertical is going to pick that up, as is your dipole maybe, but apparently verticals do it more, and there's a couple of reasons for that.
Yeah.
Whereas a loop on the ground, I got a funny feeling it kind of misses it, but the signals coming in from the ionosphere is hitting it. So I think that's what I want to go down this year, and that's some of the learning I want to do is receive antennas, but really easy. You know, how to build a receive antenna for $5. Because a lot of people are complaining, particularly in my country, that the local noise level is kind of off the scale. And there's got to be other people all around the world that are facing the same issue.
Oh, well, we have the FCC, and they protect us from that.
I think a lot of that RFI though is just like the horror movies. The RFI is coming from inside the house. Like you're
yes,
like literally go and pull the breakers. I learned this myself because I kept getting these weird spurs and this hash, and I said, nope, we're killing it today. We're shutting all the power off. Family, say goodbye to the internet for 6 hours, and pulled the breakers and realized, have one blackout, right? And then you turn on your radio on a battery and you're like, oh my God, this is like being on the mountaintop.
Yeah.
Kill the breakers and then start turning them on one at a time. And then go and find where those bad perpetrators are of the RFI and kill them, or put a proper toroid core on them, knock that all down. I learned that, that's a lesson learned recently as I've been going around my HF station, just trying to kill all that noise. And we're doing it to ourselves. Like this is all technology we bring into our own homes. And it's absolutely what's causing the problem.
Mm-hmm.
When I moved into this house I live in now, I'm in the middle of a 500-acre state forest. I moved in, I thought this is going to be the best ham radio location ever. I couldn't believe it. S9 noise on every HF band. I had to do the same thing you did, Josh. Killed all the breakers. My biggest offender was my kitchen stove. The only cure that I had was to move the antennas away from the house. Now it's okay, but we're killing ourselves, just like you said.
Everyone needs a 100-foot tower so that your antennas are 100 feet above your house.
My dryer and my refrigerator are the largest culprits of the RF noise, and taming that has been very interesting.
Is that just being on with the dryer, or is that while it's drying?
So oddly enough, when it's drying, the noise comes down. It's when it's just powered on, that's when it's the highest amount. So you don't know what you're going to get until you actually test it. You got to shut all the breakers off. And again, it's a lot of work. You got to shut everything down. Tell the family, literally, everybody chill your jets. Let's find out where this noise is, because Daddy's RF noise floor is too high.
Right.
They don't have any sympathy for that.
Was that the problem with your Rob, with your oven or your stove? Was it doing it when it was on, or when just sitting idle?
Just when it's sitting idle. It's the clock, the control head.
Oh, geez.
There's just a bad power supply or something in there. Vacuum fluorescent display, whatever it is. Yeah, there's no getting around it. I fooled with it. I tried shielding it. Everything just didn't have any effect. It was easier to move the antenna, put a little more coax out there, and it's out in the woods. I got plenty of land, so that wasn't an issue.
There's a fun corollary reaction to that too. There was somebody on the HRCC that said, my family knows when I'm operating FT8 because I turn on the oven light. I was like, hey, all right, every 15 seconds, the light comes on, light goes off, light comes on, light goes off, light comes on, light goes off.
I used to turn on when I would transmit it on 40 meters, and this was single sideband. This wasn't even FT8 full key down. I used to transmit on single sideband 40 meters, and it would turn on the touch lights in my living room.
Oh, touch lamps are bad. If you have a touch lamp, get it out of the house. Out. They're horrible RFI generators.
And then I grounded my station a little bit better. I don't have that problem anymore, but I'm like,
good.
My wife would text me, because I was out here in the shack and she'd be in the house, and she'd text me. She's like, "You're transmitting, aren't you?" And I'm like, yeah. She's like, the lamp just came on. Oh, yeah.
So does that mean a touch lamp would be a good antenna, mayhap? If it's a good RFI generator.
Hold on. I'm going to write that down. Hold on. Will it antenna?
Josh,
Christmas.
Josh just did a video about Christmas light. Dipole antennas. So I mean,
I put 400 watts through Christmas lights. Yes, they work very well.
And a few months ago,
he made but they work.
And a few months ago, he made an antenna out of lawn chairs. So this guy can transmit it through anything.
And
Josh, I was watching that video. My computer was updating, so I had to watch it from my Apple TV. But
it was fun.
You were spotted on my ham alert. There were some 8 calls that spotted you through that. Light antenna. So
I made it all the way to the East Coast.
Your touch lamp antenna.
It's pretty. It was very bright. Let me tell you that. I went outside and took a picture of it. It was very bright. I did another one with the extendable baton, the magic baton, the one where you hold and then like a staff comes out of your hand like a magician has. I turned that into an antenna.
Oh my gosh,
that was fun. That was very fun. I did have another one, another of this lessons learned. And this is one that I think everybody in this room relates to because we talked about it in the last one. And I think people watching this could probably help them, although you got to tune it to your own self. The best way to learn something, any of this, is by teaching.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter if it's making a video on it, although obviously everybody here is generally making videos on stuff. But if you teach someone else what you're doing, all of a sudden you're going to learn really quickly, like, oh, I need to button up on this, or I need to learn a little bit about this. And that is one of the fastest ways to grow your knowledge and experience in something beyond what you could possibly consider. Like, you don't get it until you're doing it, but you come back, you look backwards and you're like, oh my gosh, like, look how far we've gone. And just everybody in this room probably has the same thing. I think. I don't want to speak for you. Go ahead.
No, I think football and coaching, you know, you understand football so much more when you start coaching it. It's insane.
Yeah, I would say I put myself in the line of fire a couple of times at my local radio club and volunteered to do, you know, the 45-minute once a month thing on whatever it was. And you're absolutely right, Josh. You've got to read up on it to be able to present it.
Yeah,
totally.
I agree.
Yep.
Yep.
Fortunately, we as YouTubers have the magic power of editing. But yeah, if I didn't edit my videos, it would be basically like an hour of screw ups and then like 10 minutes of of actual okay, so here's what I know what I'm doing.
We'll fix it with B-roll or B-roll or B-roll.
I've had people comment on my videos before that say, "Hey, I like how you include the screw ups." Because I've done that before. Yeah. I like how you include the screw ups because you're like, because people say, dude, I had that problem. I saw the exact error. Yeah. So it's more of like, in my opinion, it's more of like, hey, this is the real world. This isn't a huge production, you know, multi-million-dollar production TV show that's on TNN or something. This is real. This is, hey, I tried this. This is the problem I ran into. This is how I corrected it. This is how it works. Yeah. You know, that kind of thing. So I think it's
may vary.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So I think that's what YouTube is good for.
Talk about screw ups. I will admit one of my screw-ups that no one told me about until I asked somebody in my club, and this was many, many years ago. I had no idea that all digital was on upper sideband.
Well, apparently Jason is running FT8 while we're doing this.
Jason is. I texted him.
Multitasking.
I got a ham alert. Jason is live on FT8 while we're doing it.
Hell yeah,
FT8 not really not that complicated.
FT8 is not complicated. Here we go. Here we go.
FT8. Look at there you go. He's killing it out there right now.
He's not really interested in the stream. He's like, talk you guys.
No, I'm not. I'm not interested in FT8. I'm listening to the stream, and I'm like, oh, click here. Okay, yeah, I'm good. So it's not, FTA, it's not complicated.
You're running that on upper sideband?
Okay. Digital, DIGU. So yes, digital to you.
Very good.
Just want to ask a question about Winter Field Day. I contacted organizers because there is not a category that I can, as a DX entity, enter your Winter Field Day. It's just a real shame. So,
there's not a DX category?
No, there's not. So at least with the, I don't know, I think the Irish Counties contest, it's an 80-meter thing. It happens, I think, on the 1st of January every year. But there is actually a DX category. So it means that one year I actually won it, right? Even because
there's a DX category in regular field day. But regular field day is ARRL sanctioned. Winter field day is not. So I don't know.
The report I could give or nothing. So anyway, I've written to the organizers. They got back to me and they said, well, unlikely we'll look at it, but definitely not this year. Because Paul, Carl, Tom, myself, we'd put a big station up, go up in the hills, a couple of phased arrays, 20 and 40, and have a blast into the US. That would be, for us, that would be fun.
That would be fun for us.
If you know anybody,
it'd be fun. Yeah, that'd be fun for us too.
Winter Field Day.
I can't believe they don't have the DX category for Winter Field Day. That's just unreal.
Just listen for N8SL, Cal. N8SL. That's the only station that matters. We'll be on 80, 40, and 20.
That is incorrect. KN5TR is what we'll be operating as.
Okay.
Kilo number 5 Tango Radio. So it's like North Texas Radio Sport.
All right. There's nothing to stop me having QSOs with you guys.
No.
I'd be unsure about the exchange and things like that. And I'm sure that would go, whatever, go away. But it'd be great for the US guys to actually get the points for having the DX in.
I can't. That's just weird. I'm going to have to email those guys and say, what's wrong with you guys?
You're still going to get QSO points. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
No. You get
They want to minimize the contesting aspect of it, is my understanding. Like, you're not allowed to use FT8 either because it's not.
No, they don't like FT8 either.
Field day.
Yeah, what's
the whole point is to make contacts.
Right.
And DX is the greatest contact as far as I'm concerned.
Absolutely.
I love DX, man. That's
Absolutely.
the best.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
It's really hard to do over all the noise going on.
Well, it's tough, yeah.
I don't have noise here.
I mean, like just the people bleeding over the frequency right next to you. It's
QRM.
When you're running 5 watts, yes, it is.
Yeah.
Even 100 watts, it's just all you hear is.
That's all we run at our field days is 100 watts.
500 watts.
500.
It's antenna. Have good antennas, but we only run wire antennas at our.
Well, here in LA, there's a lot of clubs. Every campground is loaded. Every parking lot is loaded. So you got a lot of mess over here.
Uh-huh.
We're just setting up in the Walmart parking lots now. Just getting up on there.
These
Walmart parking lots on the air.
Our winter field day
I try
is
to get on a
70 degrees.
You see, we're taking over a snowed-in airport.
We have to drive 2 hours to get to snow to do winter field day.
What is snow? What is that? I don't know what that is.
It's terrible.
We got a lot of it here right now.
It's slow. It's slow moving water.
Pacifico's got a lot of snow on it right now.
I bet that would be interesting to go up there. I could get up there with my 4x4.
That's a SOTA expedition right there.
Who wants to go snowshoeing?
Yeah.
No, I'll meet you up there with my 4x4 on that one. I can pack a generator.
So
cool, man. I don't want to change the subject, but I like this lessons learned. So I'm going to pose this question, and you guys tell me what you think of it, because it's kind of an interesting question when you think about it. If you're starting out, again, think about this as I pose this. Do you save more time by spending a bit more money? In that, starting out, sometimes the cheaper radio seems like the right buy, but when you're looking back, it might have been better to save a bit more money and buy the better radio before diving in. See, because I've definitely done this. I bought the cheaper handheld. I bought the cheaper HF radio. And sometimes I look back and I'm like, well, if I would have just saved that money, I would have been better off putting it into something that I'd keep for longer. It would be more applicable to what I wanted to do at the time. So what do you guys think about that?
You spend the money. Like I mentioned in the other video, I just recently passed the general, and I went out and bought a 7300.
Yeah, buddy.
You see all the people say, "Oh, you can get this one for 500," and you just hear the constant problems that, or I won't say problems, but struggles that people have. And I was just like, I'd rather not do that. And last year when I got in a DMR, I did the same thing where everybody was recommended, and no offense to people who like them, but like the GD77s or the MB80s. And,
Smart,
I was just like, I'm just going to go out and get one of the Anytone variants because they're feature rich, and it's a little bit more money, but it made my journey into DMR much, much more enjoyable than it would be if I hadn't done that.
We have a thing in my house that we call Burdowski low bid, and we don't use it anymore because we used to buy cheap stuff, to save a buck.
Right.
And then it would break or it wouldn't work right or whatever. And we've learned that, if you want something to work right, if you want it to last, pay the money one time and be done.
Yep.
People ask me, say, what's the cheapest possible DMR and cheapest hotspot I can get? Oh, by the way, I have no experience with Raspberry Pis or Linux. And I'm like, it's not you're making a bad choice.
Yeah. Yep.
You know,
I think that this is a hot topic in my mind.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, so you have to decide if you want cheap or if you want quality, because they're not the same thing. And if you want cheap, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. You're like, well, I don't have the money. There's a difference between I don't have the money to spend and I don't want to spend the money. There's two different things there. So
Right.
it's a matter of saying, hey, I physically don't have the money to spend on this, but I wanted to get into it. Well, then here's your options right here. And then if you say, well, I want to spend the least amount of money possible for the best quality, that's kind of not the same thing. I'm like, it's like everything else. It's like if you go to a Ford dealership and you walk up to the guy and you're like, hey, this Ford Focus right here, how come it costs so much less than the Lexus across the street? The Lexus costs $80,000 and the Ford Focus costs $10,000. They require the same type of driver's license to drive. They require the same type of insurance to drive. They both run on the same type of fuel. They both have 4 wheels, 4 tires, and a steering wheel to operate. What's the difference? I think everybody would agree that there's a difference between an $80,000 Lexus and a Ford Focus.
Well, what kind of radio?
Right, exactly. Yeah, I'm a Ford guy, so I'm saying this as the Ford is the downplay here. So I'm like, dude, get whatever you can afford. If you can afford $1,000 ICOM radio, then get $1,000 ICOM radio, because it's going to be a hell of a lot better than a $400 Zygu radio as far as HF goes.
Well, I mean, we could even plot this. We could even plot this to like retail off the shelf radios.
Yes.
Like if you really like the FT891, which is in my car, I really like it. I wouldn't recommend someone get that as a base station, because once you add a tuner and you add the capability to do sound operation, if you want to do digital, you're already at the price of an off the shelf 7300.
7300. Yep.
And you're forgetting about the used market, though.
Yeah.
No, I'm not.
Well,
I'm
the
talking
used
about
market, the used market is more dynamic. It's not. It's because I've seen used 7300s for $600 and used 7300s for $900 when the brand new one's $950.
Right.
So it's if you find a deal on one, that's a different story. But I think Josh is talking about the new market, and that's what I was talking about too.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
Well, so I think it's a great question, and so when I got my General, one of the guys on one of the repeaters heard that I got my General, and I don't know if it was either through the Facebook group or on the repeater, but whatever. I heard that this guy was selling this FT450. So I contacted him. Still sitting right there. I never use it, but it's still sitting there. I don't think I'll ever get rid of it because it's my first HF rig. But I got that. I got that MFJ tuner that you can basically tune a brick with.
Yep.
And I got a Yaesu power supply. It's the FT1030.
Whoever did that, well played. That was well done.
What? No, I didn't see
nothing. You're good. You're good.
No, nothing. Yeah, you're right.
And Bob's audio is good too. So I got all that for like $440.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
Okay.
That's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
That was exactly what I was going to say. Is kind of combination what everyone's saying is you could either buy once, cry once,
right?
If you get the money, or you got to get what you can afford to get into the game.
It wasn't even that. It was that I was a new General and I had no idea if I'm going to like this or not. Now, granted, yes, the 7300 best freaking radio for now it's sub $1,000. Get the 7300. But I have, I think, 2 or 3 phone conversations to New Zealand on my 450. I don't think I have any New Zealand contacts on my 73. I do have an FT8 contact to Australia on my 73, but it works. The bottom line is there are differences. They're subtle. Like the waterfall is great. the filtering, the DNR, everything is better on the 7300. But the 450, and that's not even the 450D, that's the 450. It does have the tuner in it. Still a fantastic radio. So,
right, but
get a
I'm
radio.
Saying, once you factor in the features that you want, like I was using the 891.
But how do you know that? How do you know what you want if you're getting it? That's kind of, I guess, where I'm coming from.
YouTube.
Yes.
YouTube. Let us spend, as I always say, let us spend your money for you.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And send it to us.
Yeah, sure. Well, no, we make it through there watching, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yes, I tease.
I think you got lucky with that, though, Mike. Like, I think
that is
back
lucky.
about this guy on the Discord just bought a used 857, and I'm not 100% sure what he paid for it, but the screen went bad 2 days after he had it.
Yeah, Ruh-roh Shaggy 857.
Well,
and
that's kind of a known thing with that radio too, though.
Right.
Sure.
Correct.
But the guy who sold it probably started to notice there's a problem, sold it, and then now this guy's got $60 just to ship it, is what he was saying. That's
no.
So by the end of the day, right, by the end of the day, he probably could have bought a new radio. I mean,
so what I tell people is, if you're going to buy something used and you're not willing to gamble, buy it from somebody you know that you know has tested it and whatever. So some of the new guys that come in, that's what we try to do is find an existing ham that's trying to sell some stuff. And
yeah, definitely go to a club or someone local so you can actually, talk to the guy. Don't buy it from eBay.
Yeah,
QRZ's. I bought my 7300 from a guy on QRZ. He never used it. It still had the plastic.
QRZ's good. QRZ's good.
It was legit. I was kind of worried, but he went through PayPal. So if I got screwed, PayPal's got me covered. And it's fantastic. It's like as a brand new radio.
So buy local, so you know who to beat up. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah. I know where you work.
You know, as
I can find you. I will come get you.
As a seller, you kind of run into the mechanics quandary of once you work on somebody's car.
Oh, here we go. Yep.
For life.
Right. Yeah. No, I'm just like, my opinion is like, okay, if you want to go cheap, then go cheap, but don't complain about, oh, it doesn't do this and this and this and this, and this doesn't work and what, blah, blah, blah. This $200 radio I bought doesn't work as well as a $1,000 radio. Well, no, it's not going to. So if you want to go cheap, go cheap. There's nothing wrong with that. But don't expect the cheap to work as well as the good. Is my point. My point.
Josh posed. Actually, it's an interesting question to have a thought experiment with. Is that what would you really do? And it's one of these things where you almost need to pick your battles. So I started off, I got my ticket and I bought a VHF rig, the best coax I could afford, and it's still on the wall up to a V2000. And then I talked around the local repeaters, and I think we had a mention about this earlier on, and I got opinionated about what I wanted and what I didn't want. And I went to the club and I saw some demonstrations. Of course, people haven't got any excuse anymore because they've got YouTube, so you can find out, oh, yes, I'm probably going to need a USB port on the back of my radio because I really don't want to go through all that sound card thing. And I like the idea of FT8 because I don't want to be hollering down a bloody microphone all night. And, whatever. So, and the other thing I would say to the new people, if you're worried about this, is go onto the web SDRs and just have a listen around and pretend you've got a radio, right?
Yeah.
Feel of what a radio is. Yeah. But I wanted an FT 1000 MP Mark V.
I had one of those.
Yeah, I hunted around a while for it and got it. But a lot of people on my channel go, oh, it's all right for you. You got a load of money or whatever. Well, I've been in this game 15 years. I've invested in my hobby like a lot of us have. Mm-hmm. As I say to them all, any hobby is probably expensive. It doesn't matter whether you go golfing or fishing. People can spend $1,000 on a fishing rod,
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I am the buy one, cry once thing. Cry once, I'm definitely in that camp these days. But earlier, if it was cheap, I'd probably buy it, And so, Josh, it's a dilemma. And people have to run that thought experiment through their own head sometimes, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Cal,
sometimes you learn the hard way.
Yep, I'm in the same thought.
Hold on, let Kyle go.
I'm the cry once, buy once, cry once, but I also subscribe to if you're a new ham and you're in a club, do your research. Ask the people in your club that are more expensive, that have the electronics background. If they've got a radio that they're getting rid of and they have an electronics background, or they show you a picture of their shack and they have 15 radios, those are the people that you probably should be buying the radios from, not the people that are weekend tinkerers or don't have a lot of experience, because there's a catch-22, but again, you might be that person who gets that bad radio. So know who you're buying from, but then also do your research, watch your YouTube videos, figure out what you want, and then take that radio that you bought for $300 and sell it for $250 to another ham. To a new ham in your club, and then go out and get your Icom 7300 or save up for your Flex 6400 or whatever the case may be, and go that route, And also, don't get a QRP radio. Get a 100-watt radio as a new ham.
QRP. Don't start QRP.
Don't start
with QRP. No.
I'm glad that Kevin said that. I'm on the same boat. Get a 100-watt radio. You'll make. You won't make all the contacts, but it will be more consistent than if you were on QRP. And starting out, you want to be able to come home, turn the radio on, and have an experience that is meaningful.
Yep.
And the best way to do that is with at least 100 watts.
Yep.
I've broken a lot of DX pileups with 100 watts. So.
Yeah. Oh yeah, same here.
Get the Bex coax you can. Put a dipole up. Get a balun. Get some wire from Lowe's or Home Depot. Make yourself a 40-meter dipole. Stick it up in the tree and get on the air. And then if you don't like that radio and it's still in working order and you feel confident, sell it to a new ham. Sell it to someone who just got their ticket 3 months ago and save up for your 7300.
I tell you what, a good quality coax and a good quality antenna that's at a decent height for the band that you're wanting to work is more important than a radio any day of the week.
Yes.
Antenna,
a little adage for that.
Antenna and coax is more. I would rather have a 25-watt radio with a kick-ass antenna and coax than a 500-watt radio any day of the week.
Yeah, now you would, Jason, but in the old days, when you look back when you started on it, you want the radio with all the buttons.
Well, I mean, but that's what we're talking about, right? That's what we're talking. We're talking about lessons learned along the way. Okay,
yeah.
So a good quality antenna is the best thing that will make your station. Antenna first, coax second, radio third. I don't care what the radio is. If you had a great antenna and coax, you're going to make more contacts. It doesn't matter which radio is. That's my point.
Yeah.
Now, as far as getting a radio that you can afford, that you want, what my biggest suggestion is, if you want to play cheap out like I always do, I buy a lot of used equipment. Almost everything I have has been used at one point. Even my 7300 and my K3 setup, or my original K3. But I did my research. I found out what the ultimate radio I wanted, and then I went hunting for that radio until I found the deal that I wanted.
Yeah.
Then buy it. And, and then you're happy both ways. Made a good deal, got the great radio.
Very true.
And we're about out of time.
And we're about out of time here, guys. So I will say this. Hey, thank you, everyone, for joining tonight. This was a great episode. I really appreciate all the channels represented here. You can find links to all these channels in the YouTube description below. This way, that's down. You guys, everybody watching this video, be sure and subscribe to all the channels here. Don't just watch. I don't want to know what Bob is pointing to right now. So
click that bell. Click that bell.
So click that bell. Yeah. So
subscribe button.
Everybody that's watching my video right now, all of my subscribers have their heads on straight. So you might not want to subscribe to Bob. No,
I'm a
just kidding.
subscriber of yours.
I'm just kidding. Yeah, I know. Well,
On my way, I
okay.
need them.
Yeah, and you're an iPhone guy, so I stand corrected. So no, I'm just joking around. So all of the channels represented here in this video are linked below. You guys go click on those, subscribe to those, get a well-rounded perspective to YouTube, ham radio, and everything else that's out there, because every channel has a different perspective. We all talk about different things within the amateur radio community, and it's all very good. I wouldn't invite these guys to this YouTubers bunch if I didn't agree with their channels and like what they had to say. So 73 guys, everyone had a fantastic New Year's. This video will premiere sometime in January, so it'll be after the New Year, but we're recording it 3 days before the New Year starts. So,
well, we
Happy
tricked
New
you
Year.
into doing this once, so now you got to keep doing it. So thank
Now
you
I
for
gotta keep
editing
doing
this
it.
video, because I don't want to edit it.
That's not the first time I've done it. This is like number 6.
Can we
So,
start
yeah.
swearing now?
No, we're not gonna,
Yeah,
we're not
not
gonna
yet.
swear anymore.
No, we
So,
got to
yeah.
restart the stream, and then we can swear.
Yeah, we can restart after I cancel the record button. 73, everyone. You guys have a great New Year. Hope to see you guys in Orlando Hamcation in February.
Yeah,
And,
Orlando, baby.
Put your YouTube comments below, or put your comments on the YouTube channel below. Catch you next time.
Thanks, guys.
Later, gentlemen.
3.
Thank you.
Thanks.
73.